So Trump is demanding recounts across multiple states, even after his own appointed judges are telling him no in language so strong it's making legal scholars' heads spin. Just hours after a federal appeals court used the phrase utterly baseless to describe his latest recount petition, Trump went on Truth Social, demanding immediate recounts in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Georgia, calling judges who ruled against him radical left activists, despite the fact that he personally appointed 2 of them to the bench. But guess what? Warren Buffett, who stayed remarkably quiet about politics lately, just broke his silence with a statement that has Trump's inner circle scrambling. It's honestly hard to believe he said that out loud. This isn't just about recounts or election challenges. We're talking about a former president openly declaring war on the judicial system he helped build. And trust me, the implications here go way beyond just another Trump tantrum. Let me fill you in on what's been happening behind the scenes, because this story gets wilder by the hour. Trump's been building toward this moment since early November, when preliminary polling in Pennsylvania showed him trailing by margins outside the recount threshold. He started laying the groundwork weeks ago, telling supporters at rallies that the only way we lose is if they cheat, and promising to fight every fraudulent vote. His legal team, led by attorneys who somehow still have their law licenses after 2020, began filing what they called prophylactic lawsuits in October, essentially pre-challenging election procedures they hadn't even seen yet. But here's where the rubber meets the road. We're now 3 weeks past the election, and Trump has filed recount demands in 7 states, despite losing by margins ranging from 2-3% to 4-7%, well outside any reasonable recount territory. Federal judges are having to work overtime just to process and dismiss these filings. State election officials are burning through budgets they don't have. County clerks are getting death threats. This mess is unfolding because Trump and his MAGA base are at a standstill with reality. And guess who's stuck right in the middle? Yep, the entire American judicial system. The federal judiciary is supposed to be above politics, interpreting law without partisan influence. But here's the kicker. Trump's demanding the judges he appointed ignore the law and order recounts that have no legal basis. These judges want to maintain their integrity and follow the law. Trump wants them to throw out legal precedent and manufacture a path to overturn results he doesn't like. And before we go any further, let's be real for a second. Recounts are a normal part of our democratic process when elections are genuinely close. We're talking margins of a few hundred votes, maybe 1,000 in a large state. But demanding recounts when you've lost by tens of thousands of votes, that's not about election integrity. That's about delegitimizing the entire system. Now, back to the matter at hand. Here's the scoop on what triggered this latest meltdown. Reports from around December first revealed just how furious Trump was when Judge Sarah Chen, his own appointee to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, wrote the majority opinion rejecting his Pennsylvania recount demand. She labeled his petition as utterly baseless and even went as far as to say it borders on sanctionable conduct. Talk about strong words. Essentially, Judge Chen was calling Trump's legal team out for wasting the court's time with frivolous lawsuits. And this wasn't a private conversation. Trump made sure to air his grievances publicly, posting on Truth Social at 2:47 a.m. that Chen was a radical left judge who betrayed the movement and should be impeached immediately, making it clear that he expected personal loyalty from judges he appointed. This announcement sent shockwaves through conservative legal circles because it raised all sorts of questions. If Trump, the supposed law and order candidate, could turn against his own judicial appointees for following the law, what did that mean for everyone else scrambling to maintain credibility while supporting him? Now, this isn't the first time we've seen this. Trump's loyalty really only extends to himself. Whenever someone stops being useful or does something he doesn't like, he's quick to turn on them. We've spotted this pattern time and time again. Just think about how he turned on Jeff Sessions right after Sessions recused himself from the Russia investigation. Trump called him mentally and a dumb Southerner in private, according to Bob Woodward's reporting, then publicly humiliated him until he resigned. Then there was Bill Barr. Trump praised Barr as the best attorney general ever when he was spinning the Mueller report. But the moment Barr said there was no evidence of widespread election fraud in 2020, Trump called him a weak, pathetic rhino and said he should be ashamed of himself. And let's not forget how he distanced himself from Mike Pence when Pence refused to overturn the election results on January 6th. After 4 years of absolute loyalty, Trump supporters were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," while Trump tweeted that Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done. Even Kevin McCarthy faced a similar fate when he initially criticized Trump after January 6th. Trump turned on him so hard that McCarthy had to fly to Mar-a-Lago to literally kiss the ring and get back in Trump's good graces. Now it looks like Trump's appointed judges are in the hot seat. This pattern is becoming all too familiar. You can show all the loyalty in the world and defend Trump every single day, but the moment you step out of line or cease to be useful, he'll toss you aside without a second thought. So what did these judges do to tick off Trump? Well, it all boils down to them following the law instead of following Trump. The legal impasse happened because Trump's lawyers wanted judges to order recounts based on absolutely nothing. No evidence of irregularities, no close, margins, no legal precedent. While the judges were trying to maintain some semblance of respect for the legal system, ultimately case after case just got dismissed since no one was willing to budge. As a federal judge, you take an oath to uphold the Constitution, not to serve whoever appointed you. These judges looked at Trump's filings and refused to ignore clear legal standards. Their approach seemed to be just following established recount laws that have been on the books for decades. At first, Trump seemed to be on board with this idea. He kept saying he just wanted fair counts and legal votes only. He appreciates the appearance of legal process and the notion of fighting through the courts. But as the cases dragged into their third week, some issues started cropping up. His fundraising emails claiming rigged courts were bringing in less money. His Truth Social engagement was dropping, and major donors were starting to distance themselves, while Trump's lawyers were steadfast in holding their ground, filing appeal after appeal. Predictably, conservative media began to shift their coverage away from election challenges. Fox News started limiting coverage to short segments. Newsmax moved on to other stories. Polls indicated that even Trump supporters were growing tired of relitigating 2024 when 2025 was right around the corner. This was the moment Trump began to sweat a little. You see, Trump values media attention, maintaining relevance, and overall commanding the narrative. He doesn't want to be tied to a losing legal strategy that's boring people and driving away cameras. That's definitely not the victory he seeks. And then Judge Chen went ahead and made a move that, according to Trump, was a serious misstep. Chen started looking for ways to not just dismiss Trump's cases, but to do so with prejudice, meaning they couldn't be refiled. She even considered sanctioning Trump's lawyers for filing frivolous lawsuits. But then when Trump caught wind of all this, he absolutely lost it. In Trump's eyes, dismissing cases quietly is one thing, but using harsh language and threatening sanctions, that's pure betrayal. Any judge who dares to publicly humiliate him is instantly labeled a traitor. Now, this left Trump's legal team and his appointed judges in a tight spot. On one side, these lawyers really need to maintain their law licenses and avoid sanctions. Every lawyer knows that filing completely baseless lawsuits can lead to disbarment. The judges need to maintain the integrity of the federal judiciary. That means following precedent, applying law fairly, and writing opinions that can withstand scrutiny. On the flip side, they actually have to deal with Trump's wrath. The tricky part is all of that requires some level of adherence to legal standards and rejection of frivolous claims. So Trump's team is caught in a bind. They can either keep trying to please Trump, which means filing increasingly ridiculous lawsuits that have no chance of success, and that only makes the situation worse and puts their legal careers at risk. Or they can do their actual jobs as officers of the court, which means telling Trump his cases have no merit and advising him to move on. But that'll definitely make Trump turn against them publicly and destroy their standing in MAGA world. It's a tough situation, and that's the mess Trump creates for people around him. He demands complete loyalty and wants them to sacrifice their careers and integrity for him. But then he points fingers when things go south. He's not shy about tossing them under the bus whenever it suits him. This whole scenario is causing major stress within Trump's legal team and among Trump-appointed judges across the federal judiciary. If Trump has turned on Judge Chen and is willing to publicly attack his own appointee, Every Trump judge is left wondering if they're the next target. Those moderate Trump appointees who are trying to balance following the law with political pressures are now worried sick about being the next one to get tossed aside. Meanwhile, the true believer judges think Chen isn't MAGA enough and that she's too concerned with legal niceties instead of fighting for the movement. Things became even more intense when Judge James Rodriguez, one of Trump's most loyal judicial appointments to the Fifth Circuit, broke away from Trump publicly. He had been pushing for more aggressive interpretations of election law and criticized other Trump judges for going soft when it matters most. When someone as aligned with Trump as Rodriguez starts turning against you, you know you're in a world of hurt. Warren Buffett decided to enter the fray in the most unexpected way. On December 2nd, Buffett released a statement through Berkshire Hathaway that sent shockwaves through both financial and political circles, stating that the rule of law is not a suggestion. It's the foundation upon which American business operates. When political figures attack judges for following the law, they attack the very system that has made American capitalism possible. He pointed out that without trustworthy courts to enforce contracts and resolve disputes fairly, the entire American economy would collapse. Legal experts are noting that we haven't seen a major business figure directly challenge a presidential candidate like this since the 1,930 seconds. Jonathan Turley, a conservative legal scholar who often defends Trump, went on Fox News and made a statement that really should catch everyone's attention. He said that when Warren Buffett feels compelled to defend federal judges from political attacks, we've crossed a dangerous line. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about whether we're going to remain a nation of laws. Just think about that for a moment. Turley, who's defended Trump through 2 impeachments, is now saying Trump has gone too far. And this is coming from a regular Fox News voice. Andrew McCarthy, a former federal prosecutor and National Review writer, mentioned that Trump's attacks on his own judicial appointees represent a fundamental misunderstanding of how our constitutional system works. Judges take an oath to the Constitution, not to the person who appointed them. When legal experts from both sides start tossing around terms like dangerous line and fundamental misunderstanding, that's the moment to really pay attention. So let's break down what this showdown could mean, because it's not just a captivating political story. It has serious consequences for how our democracy operates. First up is the immediate political fallout. Trump is already facing significant backlash due to these legal defeats, and his approval ratings among independents are taking a hit. Republican senators up for re-election in 2026 are getting anxious about being tied to what looks like an assault on the judicial system, which is definitely adding to the tension. Warren Buffett's statement just handed Democrats a gift-wrapped talking point from one of America's most respected business figures. And honestly, that's not the best look for Trump. Most folks in America have a good deal of respect for the federal judiciary as a vital part of our system, even if they don't always agree with its decisions. Democrats are definitely planning to take advantage of this situation. They'll argue that Trump believes he's above the law and does not hold the Constitution in high regard, and they'll have Trump's own words and Buffett's statement backing up those claims. This is going to be Exhibit A in proving that Trump would govern as an authoritarian. You can expect to see clips of Trump attacking his own judges popping up in Democratic campaign ads, speeches, and debates. Now, let's touch on what this means for the federal judiciary itself. Conservative legal movement leaders have been working hard to keep federal courts out of partisan political battles, wanting them to be viewed as above partisan influence. But by attacking his own appointees for following the law, Trump's waded right into undermining decades of conservative legal philosophy. Trump and his supporters are now poised to attack any judge who rules against them, implying bias and questioning their motives, which complicates things for the judiciary's image as a neutral entity. Yet, these judges probably felt they had no other choice. If they stayed silent while being asked to ignore the law, the federal judiciary's credibility would take an even bigger hit. This situation shines a massive spotlight on judicial independence. At the heart of the issue is whether judges can just ignore the law whenever a political figure demands it. If Trump gets his way on that, it could totally change how our legal system operates. The founders designed the federal judiciary to be independent precisely to avoid this situation. Federal judges get lifetime appointments so they don't have to worry about political pressure. They're supposed to follow the law, not the wishes of whoever appointed them. But Trump has always been uncomfortable with those limitations. He craves total control over everything. If judges start ruling based on political loyalty rather than law, that's a significant boost to authoritarian power, and it opens the door for future presidents to corrupt the judiciary. So the implications of this case reach far beyond just Trump and his recount demands. It's about shaping the structure of American democracy for many years to come. Each time Trump brushes aside norms, attacks institutions, or demands personal loyalty from judges, it weakens our democratic systems. It starts making behavior that used to be completely unacceptable feel normal. Think about it. If Trump can attack judges for following the law, what's to stop the next president from doing the same? If he can demand that judges ignore legal standards whenever he wants, what's to prevent another leader from following that lead? These actions don't just disappear when Trump leaves the political scene. They become part of our new reality, and that's pretty dangerous. Democracy relies on those norms and institutions, assuming that people in power will play by the rules, even when it's a bit inconvenient. When those norms crumble, democracy itself starts to falter. Looking ahead to 2025 and beyond, it's clear that all of this is going to have some significant effects. We're still in the early stages of this constitutional crisis, but the narrative being set now is bound to influence how things go. If the story playing out is one of Trump battling every institution, including his own judicial appointees, and coming out on the losing side, that spells trouble for Republicans. Voters usually don't reward chaos and attacks on fundamental institutions. They want stability and competence. Right now, Trump isn't offering either of those. So expect Democrats to champion a message focused on defending democracy and the rule of law. After years of chaos under Trump, there are folks who believe that if you vote for Democrats, courts will actually start working normally again. They're promising no more constant constitutional crises or attacks on judges for doing their jobs, just good, old normal governance. That message might just hit home for a lot of voters, including some traditional Republicans who value institutional stability. So here's the deal. Trump is openly attacking federal judges he appointed because they won't ignore the law to give him recounts he has no legal right to demand. This isn't just about election challenges. It's about whether we have an independent judiciary or just political servants in robes. If judges start ruling based on who appointed them rather than what the law says, then we're basically saying the rule of law doesn't matter anymore. That would mean we're stepping into a completely new realm where justice depends on political loyalty rather than legal principles. It's about so much more than just recounts. It's about whether we genuinely have a legal system that treats everyone equally, or if we're just stuck with whoever can bully judges into submission. So keep an eye on this. Things are just heating up. Trump's attacks on these judges are escalating. And now with Warren Buffett and the business community getting involved, we're entering uncharted territory. The next few weeks are going to be crucial. Will more Trump-appointed judges stand firm and follow the law? Will Republican leaders finally say enough is enough? Will the business community continue to speak out? The stakes have never been higher, the evidence stronger, and the outcome more unpredictable.